Hey guys, so this is our first video. We haven't decided on a YouTube channel name, but I am Anand. This is my brother, Vivek.
We're calling this Two Boys, One Pod.
Sure. Why not? Why not?
All right, yeah.
So the whole purpose of this is he reads a book, and since we need to churn out a lot of videos, we're gonna take it chapter by chapter. So we get monetization, you get content, the world benefits from everybody's
Yeah, just like
synergy is what I was looking for. Yeah.
exactly, just like any person holding public office. We get content, they get money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
We don't have a format, guys. We're just farting from our brain. Okay, so my brother has just read a book. Do you want to introduce the name and the author?
Oh yeah, so I read this book by a cool author called Dan Wang, and he actually makes a really good case about why America is lagging behind China in actually a lot of things. Many people tend to think about America, especially baby boomers, as being the king of the world. Well, in many situations it is, but it's rapidly falling behind. So here comes a guy, he writes a book called Breakneck, and it's about the rise of China and the differences between China and America. In the book is essentially about that. Um, he's a really fascinating author.
Yeah, and as a Chinese expert, I'm gonna ask you a lot of dumb questions.
Yeah.
And as a US expert, you can probably tell what you think about this whole thing. Now, here's the format. It's just gonna be a conversation.
Yeah.
He'll narrate what he read, probably summarize and tell me probably the things that he likes about the chapter, and I'm just gonna ask him questions, and he can ask me questions. There's no format here. It's out in the air. This is our first video. It's gonna be the worst video we've ever come up with, but we are excited to see what lies in this beautiful book of international conflict.
Yep, I know every single thing there is to know about
The first chapter.
China. Okay,
Yeah.
about China and US in chapter 1, but let's not talk too much about me. Let's talk more about China and US, right?
Okay. So give us why is this book even necessary? I think US is a pretty innovative and a big nation. China also is a big nation. Both of them are growing. So why what was the motivation behind this book to begin with? I think they're doing a pretty good job themselves. So what's the problem?
Yeah, I'm not probably the right person to ask about the motivation behind writing the book, but let me take a guess. Everywhere you see over the last 5 years, I mean, I'm not talking about COVID, but we're talking about manufacturing progress. There was a very crazy video that came out. It was actually just 20 seconds. A year ago, I think, there's a TikToker or some YouTuber who posted a guy in China. I don't know if it was YouTube or some random social media platform, whatever they use. He just pointed to things in his room and said, "Hey, he showed us a TV in the room. He said, "Hey, this is made in China. This table, it's made in China. This bowl, it's made in China. This computer, it's made in China. You show me things in your room and tell me how many of them are not made in China." And that was an eye-opening moment. It shows you how far United States as a country has outsourced manufacturing, and they thought they could have China by the balls by increasing tariffs to such a huge extent. I know they had good intentions. It's debatable, but they really couldn't afford it. Most of the global manufacturing happens there. And what happened over the last few decades? How did China become the world's manufacturer? Especially now, back gone are the days where people actually make fun of China, saying, "Hey, I wouldn't buy that because it's made in China," air quotes. But today they're a world leader in manufacturing with one of like the highest quality. DeepSeek is revolutionary in its own right. They provide functions that at a fraction of what the US AI models provide stuff at. Not even to talk about like semiconductors, their pace of progress is astonishing, even given the plethora of sanctions on them. Mm-hmm. So, what makes China tick? What makes them move as a machine while US is just out blabbering them out? They're doing anything but doing. So, for the lack of a better word.
So, when we think of US as this nation that's sort of leading, a lot of people are trying to come to the United States. You wouldn't have such heavy immigration if United States wasn't, status quo.
Yeah.
If you're saying we're behind in everything, is it justified to have that statement? And the reason I'm asking this is you're saying all of the manufacturing happens in China, but if we're the one paying for it, where are we getting all of the money from? Which means we are also doing something to earn all of that money. So we also, on par, have good enough talent. If we are doing something, I'm not the expert here, but
well, think about it this way.
I feel like it's apples and oranges that you're comparing.
A good example would be to think about two countries in a huge war.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about a short-term war, but you'll get where I'm going at.
It's inevitable.
Yeah. So one country is buying weapons at a rapid rate. It's trying to destroy the other country like crazy, and the other country is thinking they're losing, and the entire world is on their side, and so on and so forth. But a little known fact, or a deliberately ignored fact, is that the weapons these guys are attacking, the big countries attacking the small country with, are actually made by the small country. Who do you think is the winner?
So you're saying if we're in a war with China, we'd be using the weapons manufactured by China to fire at them.
Yeah. So it's actually literal. It's not even an example at this point. Even our biggest defense manufacturers have hundreds of spare parts or parts, actually small parts, that are manufactured directly in China. Well, there might be some highly intellectually protected property that are manufactured just here, but the support structures without which the machines themselves can't be made, specialized screws or whatever, all of them are made from China, in China. If China turns off the faucet, US is screwed. And I'm not saying this lightly. Dan Wang makes a very fascinating case.
But here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Just by that example of the US and war, isn't US the only country that spends like a huge amount of budget just on their military? So
yeah,
they have like reserves enough to, I don't know, blow up an entire country is what I'm thinking. So even if they were to turn off their faucets, I still feel US is in the clear. I don't know. I'm just trying to like um, see how. Sorry guys, small glitch in the Mahdi. So, all right. I was asking, U.S. does spend a lot on its military aid, so military defense budget. So, if China were to stop its faucet, stop supplying weapons, I think we're pretty good. No.
Well, the amount of just because you spend more, anyone in the world would tell you just because you spend more doesn't mean you get a better product. It's not always true. Case in point, infrastructurally speaking, Dan Wang gives a brilliant example of a railway line that was proposed between San Francisco and Sacramento in California in 2008. And at the same time, China said, "Hey, we're going to build a high-speed railway line from Shanghai to Beijing." Now, this was proposed in 2008. And they said, hey, it's going to take 3 years to build the high-speed rail line, and it's going to benefit a lot of people. Now, fast forward to 2011, China's done building at a cost of $36 billion. And what year is it now? It's 2025. In a decade, which is 2011 to 2021, they marked like 1.35 billion trips on that rail alone. Now, shifting focus to California, what happened? It's 2025. They started the project in 2008, and they've built just a fraction of the railway line. And the budget has already gone to $128 billion.
So how far is both the cities? Is it the same distance that they were trying to?
Yeah, it's equivalent. I mean, both lines would be around 800 miles, give or take.
Okay.
So what went wrong?
Yeah.
And these are budget overruns, politicians saying, hey, they want to stop in their constituency. I'm not saying that's bad, but if it was China, they'd move forward with deathly efficiency. They prioritize efficiency over everything else, and sometimes over human rights, over things that are usually held close to the heart by Western democracies.
So if we were to choke them, they will find a way.
They will find a way
to come out and dominate.
Yeah.
But while we're still trying to figure out what's happening.
Yeah. So he makes a fascinating case about
choke them metaphorically. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, just saying.
Saying.
Dan Wang talks about how U.S. is full of lawyers, and the Chinese government is made of engineers primarily. How the U.S. used to be made of engineers post World War II, but slowly post 1960s, seeing all the destruction we've wreaked on the environment with loose regulations, the industrial pollution, so on and so forth, that there was a very quick and strict framework of laws that were built up, leading to us becoming a lawyerless society. Just to build a sidewalk in a town would mean jumping through hundreds of regulatory hoops, compared to China, where they built high-speed rail lines with such ease.
Okay, but what about durability? You could manufacture something fast, but that means you also have to either it's quality versus speed, right? It's also in manufacturing industries or software. You want things fast, then you have to give up on the quality. But if you want quality, you got to give up on the speed of implementation. So if they're making everything fast and they don't have any regulations or they're trying to overlook regulations, that's not a long-term strategy.
Well,
what's your opinion?
think about it. Whatever China makes, at least in the public utility sectors, has to feed a population of around 2 billion people. So they have to make it robust, or else they'd be scrambling to repair every single thing every 2 weeks.
But they have the population though, right? Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're spending time fixing every single thing in their.
But the human cost is low. The minimum wage, I don't know if there's a concept of minimum wage. I'm pretty sure there is. But,
I'm pretty sure there is.
But compared to the US, I think you could hire relatively a lot more people and get done pretty quick. In my opinion, I don't know. I think given
Chinese
so much
economy,
population, you have a lot of supply.
Yeah, I think the Chinese economy is designed that way to make building as efficient as possible at the cost of other things like maybe human rights, free speech, so on and so forth, that we take at such face value in Western democracies. They don't care about razing down entire towns to build a highway. They don't care about, you've heard about the one-child policy.
Yeah.
I mean, hundreds of people, hundreds of children.
Thousands. There's a whole generation, I think, that grew up without a sister or brother.
Yeah, so, and there were a lot of atrocities committed during that time, so it wasn't great at all. We should pride ourselves on.
But maybe it was necessary. I mean, maybe they had limited resources and
it was a terrible miscalculation on their part.
Yeah.
According to current estimates, they're facing a sharp population decline. They're trying to slowly. They've removed that policy so a long time ago, but they've started encouraging people to have kids. But to wrap this up, I just want to say it's good that US has a specific set of rules and regulations, but we need to bring back engineers into our decision-making process, and not everything needs to go through lawyers. And we place such emphasis on bureaucracy that we've hamstrung ourselves, cut off our own legs, trying to lawyer up, so to speak. While China, like a majority of their cabinet, I think it's called the Politburo, they're made of engineers. For good or worse, they view an entire country, an entire economy as being made of machines to solve problems. They just move resources to one end without any regard for the human aspect of it. I think US is in a beautiful area where we can respect both sides. There's enough talent to fill both of them. But unless there's acknowledgement of this problem of having fewer engineering leadership positions, there's not going to be any progress in doing anything. Like today's government, most of them went to Ivy League law. Very few have actually been working class people or actually engineers or someone who've built stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting point. Like people who are overseeing construction or like overseeing like the real estate, I don't know how many of them are like actual engineers or architects.
Yeah.
They could all be just lawyers or people who have done management or project management. I mean, not to say that they're bad professions. It's just maybe that creates problems than solving problems sometimes. I do agree on one thing. I think being dead laser focused on efficiency is actually a good thing, because uh, I mean that's literally how innovation takes place. You have these giant companies that have been burned down by startups because the big companies were going through their own huge weight of regulations and all of those dead weight, people who were being too comfortable. And then there's this small startup, hungry, focused on efficiency, and they're sleeping and thinking and eating all day how to fix that problem. And when their 100% of the time is focused on that, I'm I'm saying I think the startup environment is sort of similar to what I see Chinese government as. They they're hungry, they have a goal, and uh, they're stop at nothing to achieve that goal.
Yeah.
Sometimes it comes at the cost of human values, and I'm not um, okay with that. Um, at the end of the day, humans have to be treated like humans and not machines. Um, Yeah, but in the long run, if you're just focusing on solving problems and creating efficiency and getting to the end goal, um, are people with regulations are going to win, or people who are just focused on problem solving win?
Time will tell.
Yeah, maybe this is why we're reading the book. Right? There's there's plenty of examples to show um, why we need regulation, but at the same time why we need efficiency. And we have a classic example of two countries where each one regards the other as a priority. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to us. This has been a very insightful conversation, and we'll
Thank you,
catch you on the
guys.
next one.
Until the next one.